everybody, happy Saturday. How's your day going? Hey Glenn, how you doing, buddy? Hey Rage, hey Pseudo, you're real dark over there. You're living in a cave, buddy. Living in a cave.
Yeah, I am in the bunker. I am waiting for this to pass. Safety of
Hunker down in the doomsday bunker and just wait for it all to be over, huh?
playing Doom in the Doomsday bunker.
Well, I mean, can't argue with that.
As is appropriate.
Can't argue with that. It's Doomsday. It's time to play Doom. Oh, hey, you guys are totally watching some cartoon. Hey, Car.
Yeah.
Keep it going there, buddy. He'll get through it. He's good. He was playing some genuine crap earlier today. I got to see American Idol for the PS2.
Wow.
Wild.
And let me tell you,
I
it
would
was some
say
trash.
that is a game, but I literally did not know that was a game.
it was some trash. While they're singing, and it's just 3 singers that come onto stage, and like some of them are just bad singers as per the show, and you perform this like DDR style button pressing, but just on the triangle, square, circle, and cross as the buttons come in, and they sing the song, and you choose what song you want them to sing, and it sings it like half-assed, half-heartedly as you hit the button completely flat, and then he did Ants Racing. And he beat every race in the game, first place, 30 minutes.
Are we ever going to review American Idol for the PS2 on stream? Not likely.
Yeah. I mean, if you twist my arm hard enough, I might play it. Will we review it? Probably not. The general consensus of the game is it's pretty bad. Don't play it. Don't do that to yourself. Just don't do that to yourself.
That one's going to cost a lot of channel points.
I may even have to put that channel point cost up with a small audience and games stacking up already. So we'll look at that. But it's good where it is now. It keeps me playing games. So, I know some people are excited. I see Pookie over there on her laptop. I'm not sure if she's tuned in and watching or not yet, but I know she was excited. I know GlenCon was excited for this. And there are so many ways we can approach this topic. It is a pretty broad topic. So maybe we should just touch on little areas before we go deep, because you know why people play games, why people enjoy games might have been a better, more tight title. But why people play games is actually fun to talk about in general, and we can even start with why animals and creatures in general play games, because guess what? Humans aren't the only ones that play games.
It's true.
Shocking! One of my favorite games...
Not as advanced as we think we are.
Yeah, no, we're really not. One of my favorite games in the animal world is played by dolphins. They have quite an advanced game that they play with each other. I find it quite interesting. Young dolphins, and it's expressly played by the young dolphins, basically. When they're in the pods and they get together, all the young dolphins will play games together. And they will pick up a shell from the ocean floor and bring it up high in the water and let it go and let the shell slowly float down. And then they will all jockey for position to see who's in front when it hits the ground, sort of wrestling with each other. And whoever's in front when it hits the ground gets to pick the shell up and bring it back up and drop it again. And they will do this over and over and over again to see who's in the front when the shell hits. They believe that this is actually for training them when they're young for how to work in a crowd and how to hunt together. Hey, Raven, welcome. Glad to have you with us. And I mean, this is a little outside the scope, but I thought it's an interesting anecdote to start with, to make it obvious that, you know, this isn't just like animals having fun. This is actually structured. They go out and find a shell. They use only specific shells. It has to fall at a certain speed. There are rules to how they jockey for position on the way down as the shell drops. There's rules for who gets to pick up the shell and play it again. And scientists have watched them do this and recorded this behavior countless times. This is well recorded stuff. We've seen it over and over and over again, basically to the point where they start doing it again on camera and scientists are like, oh, hey, look, they're playing the game again. It's just accepted. It's known. We're not the only ones.
Main forms of dolphin entertainment.
Yeah, but it's not just entertainment. And that's one of the key things I take away from that. It's also used to help them learn how to work as a team together when they're hunting, which is critical life skills.
And much like you'll see, any number of mammals do the maybe not the same concept, but a similar concept when they're playing. Young cats will hunt each other. They'll try and sneak up on each other. They'll pounce. They'll practice their hunting technique.
Yep.
And then they'll have a little play fight. Dogs do very similar things, and of course humans do that as well. Tag is one of the most famous games on the planet.
Yep.
People love playing tag.
Yep, almost everybody played tag when they were a kid. So one of the reasons is learning useful skills. Absolutely. Right after, whoa, CarTube with the massive host. Welcome, CarTube viewers. We are talking about why people play games. We just finished actually talking about dolphins and how dolphins have a game where they will play with a seashell. And they will drop the seashell and jockey with each other to get into first place. And then whoever's in first place gets to pick up the seashell and bring it back up. So we've gotten to the point where one of the uses for games, and we're not just talking people, this is all animals. One of the uses for games is to learn vital skills. So we talked about cats learning how to hunt by play fighting with each other. We talked about dogs learning how to hunt and or defend themselves by play fighting with each other. And we were just getting into, I was going to talk about, as GlenCon brings up, so learning useful skills is part of it. Absolutely learning useful skills is part of it. One of the first things that came out with VR games was a game created by a doctor who is a surgeon. He's specifically specialized as a surgeon in digital surgery, like using robots to perform surgery where you just have little arms and you're controlling the robot inside the person. So he created a VR game that would actually use the skills required to do this type of surgery. And then doctors were able to play the game, and it would be refining and fine-tuning the skills they're going to need to do the surgeries later on by playing this game. And he was actually introducing it to different upcoming surgeons in order to increase their skills. And it worked. It worked very, very, very well.
And it's also something that has been used for less noble pursuit. For instance, the game America's Army was all about propaganda for getting people to sign up for the military, is glorifying the military, saying, look how cool you are. You only ever play as the American soldiers, so the American soldiers always win, blah, blah, blah. But it was used to predispose people to the idea of being in the military. And I'm not here to put a judgment on that, but that is what it was used for.
Military also uses many games for training. Teaching group tactics, like multiple people entering a building at the same time. They will actually use multiplayer games that are high sim in order to teach people how to work as a unit. You get the feeling of when your buddy's going to move. The mentality of it and the idea behind it is, in your head, if you have the idea to move into the room right now, that is your idea. Whether you're doing it digitally or doing it physically, that's how your brain works. So if your teammates get used to how your brain works in a digital environment, then when you go into a real environment, you will have a better chemistry together. You will work better as a team and a unit together because you're used to working together as a unit. It works very, very well. This has been tested over and over and over again. But this is still why people use games. This isn't playing them, this is using them. Big commercial stores or companies in general gamify selling or making milestones, as it's been proven to have a very toxic outcome.
Yeah, that's true. That is a true thing.
But gamification is a big deal in the gaming or the business world. I'm with you. Gamification, the best use for it is encouraging people to partake in what you're doing. So one of the big pushes when I worked at a company called DNN or .NET Nuke, which is a content management system, right? You host it on a server and then people can log in and use what you see is what you get, like a little real-time editor to make their web page in this software, essentially, is what it's for. And one of the biggest pushes in our development there was to gamify everything so that when people come to your website, there's games and there's interactivity in order to get them interested and interacting with it. And once you get them interacting with it, they're more likely to continue interacting with it. It's just that first interaction you really want to push.
You got to trigger that dopamine.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you get some points, and then you want more points. So you got to go do the other thing to get more points. But then this other thing has even more points, so let's go do that.
Yep.
Points. All about points.
Yep.
Like right now, running, folding at home. I want those points.
Yeah, and the brain has been shown to like gaining things. It doesn't matter what we're giving it. If we're giving the brain something, the brain's going, "This is great, I want more." It feels like success. I do like big numbers. See, that's one of the things. That's the same principle behind all the damage dealers in MMOs that I see. They don't play for any reason other than, I want bigger numbers, but we've already killed the boss, but this will give me bigger numbers. Yeah, but it's already dead.
I don't care. Give me the big numbers.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I'm all about seeing those small numbers because I'm a tank. You know, nothing pleases me more than a boss hitting me for 2. It makes you feel
but
good.
In a way, that does keep your numbers big. It's just that the number is the HP bar.
Yeah. Well, actually, the number is the armor rating at that point.
That too.
If you also technically the number of damage, blocked or avoided would be a big number.
That's true. If they actually recorded the avoided damage, the block damage. Big D. Yeah, I like a big D. But why do people play games?
Should we talk about some of the kind of invisible needs that humans and other animals tend to have, and how kind of games not really, or help us tap into these and kind of satisfy us in these very...
Absolutely. Go for it.
Sure. So one of the ones you brought up, we were just saying big numbers can kind of just, is just competence. Like, we all have a feeling to kind of be competent at doing something. It's, it's why we do anything, is so that we feel, like we've accomplished something. So it kind of gets us out of bed in the morning. We're not really made to sit idle. So a bunch of games, this is what you're supposed to do. Sometimes there's not really even like full-on objectives or bosses. It's just like, do something. Current great example would be Animal Crossing. There's not really a boss besides the crippling dead, but it's just kind of mundane tasks that you're doing. But you feel like you accomplished something when you've, collected everything in your environment, made a bunch of money, got those big numbers, and then paid off this loan you had to upgrade your house further. And then you get this sense of accomplishment, even though it's completely virtual and it's not even technically a real thing. You still feel like you did something, and it's releases, of course, the dopamine trigger makes you feel good, and of course it's entertaining, even though the actual act of walking around and picking up sticks and picking up, fish or like fruit and stuff doesn't seem entertaining. It's the whole process from start to end that ends up being, rewarding feeling that makes you kind of feel good, and it's why we do it.
Yeah. I mean, that also ties into the whole phenomenon that we saw at the launch of MMOs, where people started dying because they wouldn't stop playing the game.
I mean, that wasn't exclusive to MMOs either.
No,
that happened with Diablo. That happened with StarCraft.
People dying in Diablo?
Oh, yeah.
I never heard of that. The first time I really, really heard about it was EverQuest.
Yeah, EverQuest is was one of the big ones for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, let's step out of the realm of electronic games here for a second. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Who here plays Dungeons and Dragons?
Me, I do.
Anybody in any hands in the audience there? Are you all D&Ders like us? Hey, would you guys want to watch us play D&D sometimes? Let us know. Maybe we should start a poll. Do you guys want to watch some D&D sessions? Used to? You do? Yes?
Ooh, car.
You play, or you want to see us play?
Roll car into an
or
online
both
campaign.
Yeah, I'd totally include you if you wanted to play with us. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's so many tools out there now, like Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds and everything. It's really easy even just to stream it. So it's totally...
Yeah, we usually do Roll20 when we play. It's a great time. We absolutely love it. And yeah, I think a bunch of game designers and streamers playing D&D sounds fun. I got to do a bit of a campaign. We didn't get to finish it, but we got some interesting mechanics going on there. I know Rage really enjoyed. I had a mechanic where ice is randomly floating around on the surface of a lake in random patterns, and they're trying to jump around and get across, and there's sharks going on underneath, and goblins attacking them on the top, and those goblins got ripped apart by those sharks.
Yeah, they missed the ice a lot.
Yeah, they did. They're goblins. What do you expect? They die. So what games do people play in here? What throw me some genres that people like, because I want to show a wide variety here, and hopefully not everybody plays the same goddamn games here.
Literally everybody only plays shooters. That's it. That's all they play.
But for me, like, for my top games are MMOs, JRPG, SRPG, and ARPG, I guess. So I'm going to throw them all there. And MMO is really MMORPG. I like RPGs. Go figure.
Surprising no one.
ARPG, FPS, MMORPG are mostly what Glenn plays. See, I don't play a lot of FPS, well, except for that I do play a lot of FPS on stream, because there's some really good FPSs I haven't played, but I'm not a big FPS fan.
Quite a few of them did come out quite recently.
That's
id
true.
Software has been
That's true.
Nailing it out of the park.
The last FPS I really remember enjoying that I didn't play on stream was Crysis.
That was a game.
That was a while ago.
Was it a game?
It was
more
a
of a tech.
It was a good game still. It was a huge tech demo, but it was still a good game. I loved the creativity that it allowed you to approach the situations with. There was no such wedge that you were forced to use. The one that I always remember is coming up to a base that's on an island with bridges to get to it, and I'm like, this looks like a shit show. So I picked up an explosive barrel, I turned on strength mode, I threw the barrel across the gap, I shot it in the air while it was going, it landed, it exploded, it took out all the defenses on the other side of the bridge, and I walked across the bridge.
Effective.
It was very effective. And just the fact that it let me do that, I was like, this is great. So let's pull up some datas here so that we actually have, let's get that Lufia 2 map off of there. Lufia 2 is fantastic, by the way, and you should play Lufia 2 if you have not. If you like puzzles and you like dungeons, Lufia 2 is the game for you. Also, no random battles, except on the world map. But in the dungeons, no random battles. You can see them, you can interact with them, you can approach them. It's a very well done game. And one of the hidden gems for the Super Nintendo. That's something you don't hear often. Super Nintendo and hidden gem.
No, there were many.
Most of the games on the Super Nintendo are just
not well hidden.
Yeah.
They're just gems.
Yeah. That's my point. This one's a hidden gem. Like, you say Lufia 2 and most people are like, except Cartube. I know Cartube. When I say Lufia 2, he's like, yes, that game! Neverland is straight up one of my favorite game devs of all time. I've played nearly every single one of their games. Right on. I don't even really know the name Neverland.
I assume it's the people who made Lufia 2.
Yeah, me too. Nanu, Mr. Lowe. What are your favorite kinds of games, other than FPS? Because everybody knows you like FPS. And see ya, GlenCon. Sorry you gotta leave early, but hey, there will be a VOD, and it'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on Twitch, so you'll definitely be able to catch up on this one, even though I know you were wanting to take part in it. Rune Factory 2. They work with Marvelous now. Excellent. They just worked on the Rune Factory 4 remaster, and 4X. Oh, I see you. Combat. Combat games? I'm not sure what you mean. What is a combat game?
Mechanically driven ARPGs, I would guess.
That could be what he means. Could be. Yeah, we want a blank one. Give me a blank one. Oh, that's not who I want to be. That's the frog flipping everybody off. I love that one. What? No. Damn it, Google. All right. So I'm going to be taking down from everybody why you play games, since that's what we're getting into. Hey, Rift Kip, welcome. Soon as I can sign into Google Cloud.
And the note of why people like to play games is just such a broad topic because everybody really does have their own inspirations. Like I know Deus, for instance, really values strategy and being able to make decisions really quickly in his video games.
Also control.
Whereas, and control. And I prefer a high mechanical skill ceiling. That is the thing that I like the most in my video games. I like to be able to press buttons. I like to be able to press them really well.
And then even mine, like my favorite games are always sandbox. I just like being able to basically given a bunch of just tools and just be creative and just do whatever random stuff pops into my brain. So I enjoy games like I've been playing a lot recently. I'm blanking, but even like even simulation games that are basically just like sandbox, like skate games. I've been playing a lot of Session, which has been really fun. And like I used to enjoy a lot of Minecraft and Gary's Mod and stuff like that. Those are always my favorite.
Okay, so I'm gonna put down first challenge. Let's throw down some examples of it, like the Dark Souls community plays for a challenge. Doom community plays for a challenge. A lot of FPS in general play for a challenge.
Yeah, especially like the competitive FPS community, people who are Counter-Strike players, Quake players, what have you.
Yeah, definitely a
MOBAs
competition.
Yeah, anything multiplayer, that tends to be people that play for a challenge. How about you guys? Do you guys want a challenge in your games? How many of you guys, when you play a game, are looking for something to challenge you? You want it to be like, this game is going to kick my ass, and I'm going to smile and laugh when it kicks my ass, because I'm looking for a game that can kick my ass, and then I'm going to get better, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to kick its ass, and then I'm going to feel awesome, because the adrenaline is pumping, and my head is light, and everything is airy, and I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack because my heart is beating 1,000,000 miles a minute, but that boss is dead. That's Dark Souls to me. That's why I like Dark Souls. I also used to do like extreme rollerblading and stuff when I was a teenager, so like jumping over a 6-foot gap that drops down 8 feet, and you got to make the concrete, otherwise you're screwed in this little middle death pit. Things like that. Like jumping over that gap gives me the same feeling that fighting the Dark Souls boss does now. The first time I fight it. After I've fought it, after I know its moves, and I can go in and just roll, smack, 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 roll, smack, smack. That's boring, whatever. I've done it. But the first time, that's the sauce. That's the secret right there. That's why I play them all once and not really again.
Which is like completely the opposite of why I have played all of the Dark Souls games campaigns over and over and over, except for Dark Souls 3. It's just the mechanics of actually pressing the buttons. I like to press the buttons. That feels good to me. I love the adrenaline rush from the first time you fight a boss. It's amazing. But then I come back to do it again because I want to press those buttons. I want to press the buttons again. The buttons are really good.
You get to press a lot of buttons in JRPGs too, and it's not as rewarding. So let's put a better wording than pressing the buttons. If it's not challenge, what is it?
Well, it's the enjoyment of the mechanics in the game itself. Like it's an active challenge to your mechanical skill, your ability to play the game.
So it's still just bringing a mechanical challenge.
Yeah.
We can add mechanical. I like that. The mechanical challenge of the game. And that's definitely Dark Souls and Doom and other FPSs, MOBAs. You know, that's like Twitch shooters are high mechanical challenge. You see that head click. Shit. Yeah, and I'm growing a much better appreciation for it, even though my youngest brother will still fucking tear my ass apart at it. Thanks, Pseudo.
No problem.
If you're ever wondering why Deus doesn't like shooters, imagine you're a teenager, 17, 18, 19. You're getting into shooters finally. They've been around for a while. You haven't played them a ton. You've played them a bit. You like playing them with your friends. You start to get into them a little bit more. You go to visit your youngest brother and your dad and them, and you pull out an FPS and you get wrecked by your 9-year-old brother. I didn't want to play anymore after that. I stuck to MMOs.
In all fairness, you beat me almost every time in Magic and every other game, so at least I've got something.
Magic. I remember just toying with you in StarCraft a few times. Yeah, a few other games, but yeah, FPS. Forget it. That was your thing. That was your thing. Weapons have like 38 mutable stats. Enemies have resistances to everything. You have to know exactly how. Oh, Vagrant Story. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Vagrant Story. I do, but I don't think it's a great game. I don't. I'm one of the ones that does not put it as a great game. It's an okay game. I love it. I love it. But it's an okay game. It's not a great game. And this is the difference that we always try to create and point out on the channel. I loved it. It was totally my style of game. It's overly complex and obtuse and ridiculous, and everything takes forever to figure out. And if you haven't done your weapons exactly right, you've got to backtrack and grind forever. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting that thing for 5 days as you do 1 damage per hit to it. And I mean, it's ridiculous. It's completely obtuse. It takes way longer than it should. It doesn't explain anything well. It's not a very good game, but I love it because it hits all the points that I play games for. Right? So this is the whole point of this. Because if you want to make a game, a lot of people have a tendency to make a game for themselves because that's what they understand a game to be. That's why they play games. But if you're making a game for other people, then understanding why people play games is the key. If we can identify that, hey, this type of people plays this type of game, then we know to make it for that type of people, not us. Make sense? You're going to get a better game that way. So other than mechanical challenge, which is why most of us play game, relaxation.
You put that maybe as like a relaxation and escapism. I would include those two into one.
Yeah, I'd agree that those are the same thing. And that's
often the same thing.
Yeah. Exploring the environment. Would you say that's relaxation and escapism, or is that specifically something you want to do in the game, or?
I'd say that's probably under relaxation and escapism.
I would think so too. Yeah,
escaping to
escapism.
new environments.
Yeah, just getting to go around. And one of my favorite things about WoW when I first started playing it in vanilla was exploring the environment. All those new places I've never seen before. And
yeah, you're
difficult.
in a whole new world.
It was actually difficult enough that you had to bring a buddy with you or you might die doing it. Great. Stardew Valley, we'll throw Animal Crossing up there.
Virtual chores. Why are they so good?
Virtual what?
Is it virtual chores?
Oh, yeah.
That's so addicting. Harvest Moon was like one of my favorite games growing up.
Yeah, I wasn't actually a big fan.
It's probably very frustrating for my parents because they would just see me doing virtual chores all day and then not doing my actual chores.
I could imagine. Damn it, Ty, what are you doing? Oh, just taking the garbage out. Take the real garbage out!
I don't get
only
points.
Yeah, that's what they needed. They needed to gamify it. Give you an experience system. Hey, I've leveled up. I get to do this extra chore now, which gets me extra experience so I can rent more games. Yeah,
that would have worked well.
Yeah,
that's actually how I learned to tie my shoes, which is a hilarious story. We went to London Drugs because that's just what sold games at the time.
Yep.
For like Windows 98 era. And our other brother and I, we got a bunch of games and we got home all ready and excited to play them. And then my parents were like, "Oh no, you can't play until I learn how to tie my shoes." So then immediately just sits me down. I don't go anywhere for 20 minutes, and he just forces me to learn how to tie my shoes so we can play the games. And then every time I tie my shoes, I think about it. I'm like, yeah, that's what I have to think for finally learning how to tie my shoes.
That's awesome. So let's add learning.
Yeah,
people do play video games to learn.
Education is a totally valid use case for games, be they video or otherwise.
The first ones that come to mind when I think educational games and learning games are the like the car mechanic games, stuff like that.
Yeah, PC builder simulator, whatever, and mechanic simulator.
Those could also go under relaxation and escapism too.
Sure, but they do also teach you skills.
Yeah,
absolutely. Managing a prison. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess SimCity and stuff too.
Prison Simulator? What's it actually called? What's it? Not Prison Simulator.
Prison Architect.
Architect, thank you. I have the game
There's
too, and I love the
there's
game. It's
also
hilarious.
all the actual like educational games that are pretty fun. I remember those really big when I was in school was Math Circus. I'm not sure, it's an old DOS game. Stuff like that, and then, like just gamify stuff that typically kids hate, and all of a sudden, now it's fun, and now they don't mind doing it. And I remember one of my fondest memories as a kid was going to the library and just renting a bunch of just computer games that are they're educational games, but they're still kind of fun.
Yep.
Like through it, and now here I am, like a bunch of years later, and I still very much enjoy math.
Yep. I remember doing Logo Writer and Oregon Trail and Number Muncher and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the one I was gonna bring up. I was gonna bring up Number Munchers.
Number Muncher was one of the popular ones in school. Everyone always grabbed the Number Muncher disc. That one went right after Oregon Trail went. And I would usually end up dicking around in Logo Writer. Logo Writer was one of my big go-tos on the early Mac. Does anybody remember Logo Writer? There's this little turtle, and you type commands like turn 90 degrees right, turn 90 left, forward, 110, and you could hit tilde, and it would bring down the screen like a console, and you could actually create command sets that would be executed with a single command. It was like super, super, super early scripting and stuff like that. So you could draw shapes and different stuff with the turtle. Yeah, I took that app and I wrote it a little script that ran an infinite loop that crashed your computer and replaced the icon of the turtle with a middle finger in the middle of the screen, put it onto a floppy disk, and put it on every computer in the computer lab in grade 3. Took the whole lab down with SneakerNet. That was my first computer lab crash. I was very proud of it.
That's a pretty good one.
I got in so much trouble for that one.
My grade 3 experience was I managed to sort of social engineer my way into the Number Muncher high score server. Yeah, I had that high score for a long time.
I like that. Yeah, the only reason I actually got in trouble after taking that lab down was I was the only one in school that had the capability to do something like that, and that's how they knew it was me. They're just like, damn it, Dez, we know it was you. Hi, I'm Dez, by the way. That's why I go by Deus. One letter off my name. That's how I ended up using it. I had a computer lab that ran on a token ring, so all you had to do was freeze one computer to take everything down. It was easy those days, no kidding. And on that quick note, I want to give a quick shout out to a buddy of mine. He'll remain nameless, but a quick shout out because he wrote a virus that lived in the printer's firmware at his school. And it was genius.
As if printers weren't already the devil enough.
It lived in the firmware of one of the big corporate-sized printers in the library of the school, is where he installed it. And what would happen is every time so he hated his Mac teacher, by the way. The guy was a militant Mac dick. I like Macs, but I hate militant Mac dicks, okay? Macs have their purpose, but they shouldn't be used for everything on the planet, okay? PCs have a use too. So he got tired of this guy preaching Macs and set up so that every time a Mac would come on, the first thing it does is what we call bonjour. And it sends out this packet to everything on the network looking for other Macs. So this would look for that to happen. And then whenever something would spam a MacTalk packet or a bonjour packet, this would spam the gateway where the Mac goes through with that Mac's IP until it just blocked it.
It's so simple. I love it.
So the net effect was that when the Mac lab came up, they could only talk to the other Macs in that Mac lab, and they couldn't talk to anything outside of their room. It took them so long to figure that one out. That one's genius. Good job. I like that one.
So simple and yet effective.
Yeah. Okay, so learning, relaxing, mechanical challenge, story.
Do social.
Social.
Yeah, social is a big part of games.
We hear it all the time on the channel. Well, it's a good game. I had fun playing it with my friends.
Not even just like with actual players too. A lot of people play games that have like pretty well versed interaction with even just like fictional characters and like NPCs and stuff like that, because you still kind of get those
I'd call that
social kind of dopamine.
story if it's not actual social interaction, but just the story is so good that you feel like you're in it.
Yeah, I was just saying like the reason they play is so they feel like they're communicating with real people, even though they don't know that's what's triggering in their brains for like dopamine release. Like you still feel like you're belonging to a community, and like you get those kind of same feelings that you would if you were outside talking to actual people and stuff like that.
Yeah, the romance is definitely part of the social experience. And on that question, does anybody here actually play dating sims?
This guy.
Yeah, you like a dating sim, Rage? I'm
yeah,
glad.
There's actually a couple of really, really good ones. Fruit of Grisaia is a visual novel / dating sim that I played not too long ago, and it's actually fantastic.
Right on.
Also, Hatoful Boyfriend is fucking hilarious.
That's the first one that always comes to my mind. That one's just because it's so creative and different and just strange. So, Hatoful Boyfriend, for those of you that are like, what the hell are these guys talking about, is a dating sim where you play a pigeon.
No. You're a human. You're the girl.
Oh, okay.
But everybody else is pigeons.
Okay, so you're a girl dating pigeons. Okay.
You're dating pigeons.
Okay. Yeah.
There's also
I only ever saw the screenshots. I never actually
find it here. I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger licking good dating simulator.
Yes.
Which is free on Steam.
I've seen that one around. Yeah.
It is just hilarious.
We're gonna put romance under social. Story. I don't think I even need to explain it, right? Everybody knows. And story is one of the main reasons I play JRPGs. I love the good story. Yeah, honestly, Final Fantasy VI has one of the best stories of any story I've ever seen, ever, period. Books, movies, games, all included. That story was fantastic. One of the best things about it is there's no main characters. Everyone always argues who the main character is. The reason there's always an argument is because there is no main character. There's no one character that's always in your party. There's no one character that's in every event. The story is written about a group, the Returners. The resistance against the Empire is what the game is about. And it's fantastic. Play it if you haven't.
Being a troll, yes, that is definitely also part of the social experience. I was just going to say, and then from the opposite side, there's the experience that you have in a lot of modern, very choreographed action games, where you'll have the protagonist of the game just essentially following a linear path through the story, but you get to act it out. You get to be Nathan Drake, aka action movie Indiana Jones, or Lara Croft, or whoever, and you just get to go through this very choreographed experience.
I'm gonna add the movie games to story. That's basically what it is. You're playing it for the story and experience of the game. It's just that story is written so you're the main character, as opposed to a group or this or that.
Yeah.
And I also add RPGs there because that's really one of the cruxes. So mechanical challenge, we can also add mental challenge, which is some RPGs.
Some RPGs, 4X.
4X's, yeah. Sandbox.
Grand Strategy.
Well, 4X is Grand Strategy.
Grand Strategy is not necessarily 4X.
What's a Grand Strategy that isn't 4X?
Well, fuck, I don't know. I don't play them, but it's those
are pretty interchangeable terms.
Necessarily the same thing.
I can't think of I do play them, and I can't think of a Grand Strategy game that would be Grand Strategy and not 4X.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just interchangeable terms. Grand Strategy is what a lot of people call it, and 4X is what all the people who actually play it call it.
Fair enough.
But Sandbox Games is in there as well, and that's going to be stuff like your Factorio and Banished and all those games where you're balancing and watching everything. Like I've been playing Banished again lately, and like if you're not really watching your food production and you fall a little bit behind in food production and then try to start producing food in order to feed people, you're going to lose 70 to 80% of your population to starvation if you're just adjusting when the food starts going down, because it takes you a year of actual harvesting and getting everything ready for that food to start being produced. Your people are screwed. I like sandbox
games.
RPGs and puzzle games. Why do you like puzzle games, Riftkick?
That's another thing that we haven't included up till this point.
Yeah, why? Sandbox also belongs to creativity category. We don't have creativity yet, but we absolutely should. I'm going to break these out a little bit. I think they're just easier to read this way. Getting a little
dense.
Creativity. And that's going to be, once again, your prison architect. Let's throw Factorio in there, because Factorio is super creative.
And then there's the music and art games as well. There are lots of music and art games that are entirely freeform. There's one specific music game that I used to play a lot, actually, that's called what was it? Auditorium. It was a web-based game, and you solved puzzles using sound.
That's
and there
cool.
was always, some freeform way to do it, and it was very, very cool. Really cool concept.
Well, a quick shout out, and I'll let Pseudo finish it, but way back in the day, one of the first games he ever really worked on was an RPG where the different attacks were notes and they could combine together in chords. And you were actually attacking with instruments and creating combinations of musical notes.
So it's Bard Simulator.
Kind of. It was it was made in like I was in like grade 9 or 10 at the time, and it was made in like RPG Maker. And I remember I had to like hack their menu selection thing because I put in an MP3 player as an item that you can use to change the background music whenever you wanted, because you're supposed to be like a traveling band. And then the combat was like the thing of like there's the 4 different classes of like guitar, bass, singer, and then drums, and then playing each instrument corresponding with other stuff. So like they'll have their own kind of thing where like drummers would play for multiple bars, and then like guitarists would have a solo would only last for certain things. And unfortunately, it was also the first time I learned about why you should have backups, because that hard drive blew up and caught fire and smoked up my system. So that was the first time I learned of like you don't get that data back when that happens. So I lost all that, which I was very sad. And now I have redundant backups at multiple locations around. So it happened again. But
we've all had that lesson at some point of this is why you should have backup.
That's what happened to my first game too. That's how we learned about it. That's also actually how we learned what can happen when you don't properly shut down a system.
Mm-hmm.
There was a game I saw at PAX, I believe, that basically did what I was trying to do, and it was super cool. I'm going to try to find it so I can give them a shot. But it's the same idea of you have a band and everyone has like the different instruments, they all like correspond with each other. But I can't remember what it was called, but I remember being super stoked on it. I don't know if it's out yet.
So Riftkick, you like puzzles because you enjoy, or puzzle games because you enjoy solving the problem. So I put that under mental challenge. Does that work for you? Yeah. Ooh. Mechanical challenge, mental challenge, relaxing, learning, the story, a social setting, a social experience, creativity, sharpening your focus. I'm going to say that's mental challenge as well.
And potentially learning.
Yeah.
But like all of these different expressions of like people playing games are just, as you can see, so very broad. There are just so many options for why people play games, why people choose to spend their time playing, video games or tabletop games or what have you. And this is sort of the point that we were trying to make earlier in the discussion, that you can make a game for you, and that's great. That's awesome. But don't expect everybody to like it. It may be the best game that has been ever been made for you, but not everybody's gonna like it.
Like if I made my ideal SRPG, most people probably wouldn't like it. A lot of people, if I've have the engine in my head too, and I've wanted to actually put it into code for a long time because I know exactly how it's all going to play out, and it's fucking brilliant. Maybe one day I'll do a panel talking about this idea because I do want to start open sourcing some ideas so that if you guys want to grab it and run with it, go for it. At least you've got some good ideas to grab and run with if you want to build something. That sounds fun too. Let me know what you think of that one.
I'm on board for that. I got some interesting game ideas that I'm never going to get around to making.
Yeah. My SRPG idea as well. Just it allows for so much more control and creativity in your combat, and that's really what the SRPG community wants. Let me do more interesting stuff and make this battle feel like it's actually a back and forth piece of combat instead of I take a turn, you turn, I take a turn, you take a turn, but keep the turn based in there. That's beautiful. That's what I think I've done. I think I did it. I'll show you one day. Okay, I can do that too. Lowe's having a salad for us. I'm sure there's more reasons than this to play games. There has to be.
Well, so let's look at it here. We've got sort of my core thing covered under mechanical challenge. We've got mental challenge. We've got escapism.
I like
and
that
getting
one.
getting away from your personal life, if for any number of reasons. Self-exploration. That's another very good one.
Thank you very much for that one, Pookie. That's great.
We can put autonomy.
Oh, that's actually a really, really, really good point, Rift. Some people like to play games just to feel powerful.
Yeah, we can put it down as autonomy, which is the kind of control over their environment. And like, there's a lot of games out there that kind of give players that control. Things like GTA or like Sims, like The Sims and stuff like.
I'm even thinking of like God of War, stuff like that. Those character action games where your character is just fucking powerful and you can hit buttons and watch waves of them. I'd imagine something like what was it called? Dynasty Warriors would probably be like that. I don't see a whole, like, to me, the idea of Dynasty Warriors is just like, why does this game exist? I run up, I hit a button, and everything's dead.
But that's why. It's about the power trip, right? It's about the power fantasy. I have a very itchy eyebrow.
Apparently. God of War is the Greek mythology version of Doomslayer.
Only somehow, like, angrier.
Angrier, yeah. Doomslayer's not angry at all.
He's just a bit frustrated when things slow him down.
I don't think he doesn't even come across with any frustration. I don't see anger. I don't see anything like that in him. He's just totally cool, calm-headed and collected, and enjoys ripping and tearing demons. It's just like his thing. It's what he likes to do.
You were not paying close enough attention to the new lore introduced in Doom Eternal, sir.
Probably not. I was just ripping and tearing.
Yeah, it's great. That's why for that game.
yeah, just doing his job. Yeah, exactly. That's how he came across as me. It's just like matter of fact, like, oh look, demons, let's go kill them. Where Kratos is much more like, very emotionally driven. He's a very emotional creature, Kratos. Everything he does is emotionally powered. Yeah, I'm not sure what we would put under power. I guess the I forget the name of it. I just named it
Dynasty Warriors. Also games that I would say quite a bit, maybe not all, but quite a bit of the spectacle fighter genre.
Spectacle fighter, yeah.
Be that Devil May Cry, God of War, what have you.
Yeah. Being a tank in MMOs makes you feel powerful, depending on the MMO, but in general, yeah. Yeah. Um, no, pretty much every MMO gave me a power trip when I was a tank, but I'm always a top geared tank. Like, when you're the best geared tank on the server, yeah, you've got a power trip. You're literally the best. I once had to pop shield wall because my entire guild was already in the raid instance, and there was 2 raids sitting out front of the place. So like almost 80 people, because they're probably waiting for 2 or 3. So there's, 2 40-man raids minus 3 or 4 people each. I popped shield wall. I ran through all of them. They were all beating on me the whole time. I just watched my health going like this slow. They're hitting me for like 20 and 30. Popping cooldowns and stuff. Oh, shout. My health goes back on. They're constantly like stunning and stopping me until diminishing returns is kicking in so I can kind of start moving, and I got in the instance before they killed me. I was laughing so hard we had to take a break because I couldn't raid lead.
Too busy laughing.
Self-exploration, Pookie. What games are self-exploration? Give me some examples. What are your favorite games for that? I'm going to put MMOs under Power Fantasy. And in brackets, really anything multiplayer if you're good. It usually happens after I play the game.
Yeah. So learning about yourself through the experience of the game and being able to explore more parts of what you think about the world. I found Soma was excellent for that. Yep, and Bloodborne.
That's the one that really had. So my experience with Bloodborne, the reason I'm putting it there, after I finished it, I spent 2 weeks feverishly researching and studying and recording everything I could about its lore to put together what happened and make sense of these feelings that I was left with after getting the raid ending. Like, I knew what I had to do. I knew where to go to get it. I didn't pay attention to any of the why or the what. Just go do it, because this is how I get the ending I want. But then the ending I wanted didn't say anything. It just left me with so many more uneasy feelings and questions. And
Yeah.
after 2 weeks of research, I went, this is the best game I've ever played.
And it really is. Bloodborne is a masterpiece.
I would say, in my experience and opinion in design, that is the greatest game ever designed. Good job, Hidetaka. I know it's your favorite project as well. What a masterpiece. Pseudo,
So
play that
if you've
fucking
got access
game.
to a PS4, if you've got access to a PS4, play Bloodborne.
I have a bit. I don't have my PS4 right now, but I got a backlog of those games to get through.
That one should honestly be at the top, maybe just under Sekiro because you've already started it. But it's like the best game I've ever played. I can say that straight-faced confidently.
A lot of people know it's actually the best game I've ever played. The problem with my save right now is that I started it and then my buddy jumped on and then.
So you have to
played a
start
bit.
over. Darn.
So I have to start over again, and like I don't know, I've always had a bad time starting over in games. Whenever I lose a save, it's like the number one killer.
I understand. I normally
hard
agree
to-
with you, but that game at the beginning is just so good. Like, the first 2 bosses in those first low levels of that game is some of the best gaming in the game. It's so good.
Yeah, I have had more runs than I have kept track of. Go 3 or 4 bosses deep, and then I just go, I want to do that again, and then I go delete that character and start over.
I'm adding Earthbound as well. We're not going to go into details because we don't want to give any spoilers, and we actually can't go into any details on Earthbound without spoiling something about the game somewhere, because the game is so deep and meaningful and spiritual pretty much the whole way through. Super looking forward to you playing that one, Mr. Tube.
So what else have we got here?
I'm trying to think of games that don't make sense to me.
So one of the things that we've sort of touched on, but haven't explicitly set out, is specifically the competition aspect. Not necessarily the mechanical challenge or the mental challenge, but specifically the fact that it is a competition.
Yeah, and I'd also actually like to add, because team competition is something I crave in games once in a while. That's why I jump into Final Fantasy XIV every couple of years and do some dungeons, because I love team play. I love people having jobs and roles and working together to accomplish an objective. I played soccer for the city and traveled over through Washington playing soccer when I was young, and I played baseball for the city and made the provincial team baseball and played hockey for another 10 years, and I love that team play. I grew up with it. It's something I'm used to. And gives me a good feeling to work with others and accomplish a goal together and win together.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Absolutely. That is absolutely a big thing for a lot of people. Like I personally much prefer a personal competition.
Yep.
Just because it suits my sort of drive more. I want to be the best that I can be, and I want my failures to be mine.
So,
But I 100% understand the camaraderie and the amazing feeling of group accomplishment that you get from a team competition like that.
I really enjoy like just even co-op games, not even just against other players, but even just like team competition versus just AI. Has
yeah,
always been very enjoyable for me. I've
that's
been playing. I was up super late last night playing The Forest with like 5 of my buds,
I saw you
and it's
playing Left
just
4 Dead 2 as well.
yeah. I've been playing since we're all stuck inside. We all started playing games together again, and I find that when you play against like team competitive against other players, things get kind of intense and get kind of salty, and there's always someone who
Depends who
really
you're playing
wants.
with again.
Yeah. But like it just kind of happens, right? Because then you really want to win, and losing to other players feels a lot different than losing to an AI. Like the AI isn't gonna trash talk you after, right? So lose to an AI, it's like whatever, you come back and play. So I've always kind of enjoyed those a bit more too, since it's usually a bit easier. You can kind of dick around a bit more, and no one's gonna get mad at you if you're just kind of messing around, playing around a little bit, trying to have some fun. But I've been enjoying The Forest. It's terrifying and hilarious, and it's just been a grand good time.
The Forest is what you're saying there.
Yeah. For like a $20 game, it is fantastic. It's good in single player. I played a lot of it in single player, but having like 5 other people with it has just been a hilarious gong show.
Sounds like a good time. So you want me to put The Forest in here then under team competition?
I might maybe put cooperation as a
Well, I've just
maybe,
basically just listing different cooperative games.
yeah.
MMOs are the first thing I listed in there, and that's usually PvE, right? So
Yeah. I just saw competition. I wasn't sure if we wanted to specify between like competition versus like cooperation.
Yeah, well, it's competition versus the game or competition versus other players, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
fair
team
enough.
competition, working specifically in a team. So what kind of competition games are there other than shooters?
Fighting games,
Oh, that's a good one.
MOBAs,
StarCraft.
yeah. Like
Well,
League
MOBAs
of
are
Legends.
mostly team competition.
Yeah,
Right? MOBAs are
they're
team.
team versus team.
Yeah. I'm
Oh,
talking
sorry. Just single. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
single player competitive.
Chess.
Yeah, chess, absolutely.
I think it was originally used to teach like noblemen and other people about like basic war strategy and kind of how that goes and consequences of actions and all that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it also teaches you to think multiple moves ahead, and misdirection plays a large part in it when you get into higher levels.
Some old school arcade games were pretty competition based that were just single player, versing just high scores, hit a number to beat. Even I guess you can even argue that even some pinball
Oh
games
yeah,
are
yeah. I guess
kind of just
we'll put high score under competition.
Yeah, that works.
Because that encompasses all of those, pinball and all the arcadey type stuff.
And while it is both a mechanical and mental challenge, I would say that StarCraft fits very well under competition as well.
Yeah, and team competition.
But let's be real, it's all about the 1v1s.
What I loved about it was team competition. I liked multiplayer versus
the team competitions. Super fun. I love them.
But
it's all about
the professional league is all about the 1v1. I didn't do a lot of 1v1. I did a little bit of it. I didn't like it nearly as much. What I liked about it was working as a team. We did a lot of multiplayer where we go in as, 3 or 4 of us, and we all come in with our own specific strategy and our own job, and we just set about doing our job and rely on everyone else doing their job. And when you come in like that in a multiplayer game, you don't. We won a lot. like we had one guy whose job it was, he would just move to the middle of the map as Terran, and just pump out Marines in the middle of the map as fast as he can, and just flood them into every base, and find everybody, and then just have a stream of Marines coming into the active players' bases, basically from the beginning of the game. Just building up a clump, send it in, bit bigger clump, send it in, little bit bigger clump, send it in, and everybody's playing defense the whole time. So they don't play a lot of offense, and they don't come look for you, so you don't build defense. You just go straight offense and rush your specific unit type for the mashup and head in there, stomp.
And the reason why that works is because you're keeping the armies split.
Yep.
Like this is a known phenomena that has been studied in the StarCraft 2 multiplayer. In that if you keep your opponent's armies split, they aren't able to specialize. They have to be able to defend against everything that you're throwing at them. And then at that point, you have, 2 or 3 highly specialized armies versus 2 or 3 generalized armies, because the guy who's been pumping out Marines probably killed one of the opponents. He just probably did.
Unless everybody's right up to snuff and is able to handle the Marine rush, yeah. You'll get 1 in 4 usually. Why else do I play games? See, the reason we play games is on there right away, and this is why we need more of your guys' input. Why do you people play games? What we need to know. I know me, like, really, really well, and I'm really into the brain, and I like studying it whenever I get a chance, so I kind of get other people a little bit. But not really, because I'm not you guys. Still a lot of things people do that I'm like, really? That doesn't make any sense. Experiencing a specific journey. The Last Guardian, helping this lovely giant creature. So, why did you play The Last Guardian? What did you like about it? Was it the story and the tale of the creature?
Based on that description, it sounds like it's both the story of the journey and the social aspect of, forming this bond with the creature.
So did it actually give you a feeling of bonding and meeting and learning about the creature? Okay. So that would be like a social as well.
One thing we haven't added yet that's been kind of coming up again, mostly thanks to Nintendo, is exercise. There's more and more people now that are playing games for exercise, which is kind of nice, from like Pokemon Go to just Ring Fit and Wii Fit and stuff like that.
I wouldn't put it under social. It's more than that. So
that's what I meant. Sorry, like exercise is its own.
No, Pookie's responding there.
Yeah.
It's a specific experience.
I think that falls under escapism.
So maybe escapism, story, and the social bonding, because there's definitely a social bond that happens with the creature. By the end of the game, you care about that creature, and the story is kind of the whole reason you play The Last Guardian. But you also get the escapism part of it, which sort of puts you in a world that you would never experience in real life. And then you've also got the self-exploration aspect where at the end of the game you process all of these feelings that you've had stored up throughout the game.
It almost makes me want to play the game, except I know how it controls.
Well, and that was one of the big things that I really enjoyed about Nier Automata.
Mm-hmm.
It was very much an escapism and exploration sort of deal. Like the mechanics are fine, the music was great, but like the real thing that you get out of it from the game is this story that makes you feel feelings, and you get this deep tie to the characters, and then you go and deal with all of those feelings.
Some people play games for the music, specifically.
Maybe appreciation of art rather than specifically music, because some people also play games specifically for the visual styling.
Yeah, that's fair. The one I was saying before as well was exercise. It's getting more kind of common nowadays that
Yes.
people are actually playing games for exercise, which I'm super stoked on.
That would be mainly the Wii started that.
Yep, we got
Yeah.
Ring Fit, Pokemon Go, and Wii Fit.
Artistry. So
Saber?
Pookie Yes immediately says she played Child of Light just because of its visual style. I
Yeah,
played. I didn't finish Child of Light, but what I really enjoyed about it was actually its writing. Poetry is actually quite nice.
What would we put?
Definitely artistry.
What would we put like horror games under?
That's
Like
what I was thinking
the
about earlier. Yeah.
like thrilling kind of thing. Like what would that kind of fall under if we don't have it already?
Do people actually play to? I like the power and stimulation of the brain. So power fantasy and mental challenge. But it sounds like you also like a mechanical challenge, Lo, because you're playing Doom and Halo, and now you're picked up Sekiro, and those are mechanically challenging games. Sorry,
Could
Suda?
be like mental stimulation. I'm not sure if that's broad enough to fit for horror games, but like I play a lot of horror games, and like it's one of those things where I guess it also kind of falls just under escapism. You put yourself in a situation you never really would be in, just to see how things feel, right? And you're just trying to like get different experiences that normally you wouldn't be able to have, but through the device of a video game, you can get these kind of
Is there an E at the end of that?
I don't think so. Google Docs seem to be accepting it either way.
yeah. There's an E.
Okay, I was right the first time. This is why I should never doubt myself. Most of the questions I got wrong on exams throughout my life, I was right the first time, and I went, that doesn't look right. And I like reworked it and figured it out again, got a different answer, and then it was wrong. And I was like, oh, I was right the first time. I can see like my eraser marks.
Looks like both are accepted spellings.
Oh, I was right both times. I'm so good, I'm right twice.
English is hard.
Adrenaline
So,
cleared
under the
beast. My
adrenaline,
hands were shaking
definitely-
after beating him the first time. Yeah, I put all of Soulsborne.
You can put a really good one for those that people find are a lot of like battle royale games. Get pretty people are pretty adrenaline driven for those. I'm not sure if you've ever played them too much, but being the last person standing is a pretty intense feeling. Your heart rate is just skyrocketing as this circle is just closing on you, and there's four other people who want you dead. And it's just it does get kind of addicting. Like it's an intense feeling that you don't feel from anywhere else.
That makes sense. That's probably why people get into them if it does have an adrenaline release. That's why I got into the Soulsborne. Rating, yeah, rating.
Yeah, being put under stress, essentially.
Yeah.
A situation in which you need to perform at your maximum, and you feel that pressure to do so.
Doom is the best adrenaline release I've ever gotten from a shooter game. Doom Eternal, specifically. The new one. In putting it up onto Ultra Nightmare and doing a Slayer Gate, that will get your heart pumping.
Uh-huh.
Limbo? You mean Limbo got your adrenaline going?
You know, I never played Limbo.
Limbo was a cute game.
I've heard a lot of very, very good things about it, but I did not ever actually play it.
Some areas are spooky. I'm gonna put it under artistry. I think it got your adrenaline going. I don't think it's gonna get a lot of people's. That's okay. But it was very artistic game. Loved it. Beautiful.
Well, and we forgot the whole thing that kicked off that adrenaline category, horror games.
Yes. Because that's really what I got out of them, was the adrenaline of it. Though they were also mentally challenging somewhat, because there were some good puzzles here and there.
Yeah, hallmark of the Resident Evil series.
What else is there for mental challenge? Yeah, there's so many. I have to add SRPGs. Just throw the S here. There are RPGs that can be mentally challenging. I'm just going to throw RPG. Most of them have some mental challenge. Itemization and gearing.
Strategy, what have you.
Yeah, choosing the right ability, timing your heals in order to use your points efficiently enough in order to stretch them out. Min-maxing. Yeah, exactly, Pookie. Min-maxing. MMOs are really, really big for min-maxing. If you like min-maxing, MMOs are the game for you. If all you want to do is spend 10 hours with a spreadsheet to figure out the best way to make your character.
Or if you just want to play Spreadsheet Simulator, Eve.
Yeah.
That is.
Can confirm. Min-max in Stardew Valley. We did. I set up a spreadsheet that would calculate how long it takes to start growing and how many harvests it get and how much you get from each harvest on average, so that we could time when the profit would come and how much profit from how much spent based on how much time, to break it down to how many dollars per day over that time. Yeah, I knew what I was doing in that game.
See, that almost makes me want to play Stardew Valley, but I know that I'll hate most of it.
It was way more fun than I expected. Do the fishing. Fishing's a great... Who summoned me? I was summoned by the overwhelming usage of the word average.
I didn't think we overused average all that much this stream.
Yeah, no, I haven't called anything really average. Because we're not talking about a specific game, are we? You just heard it once.
Just heard it once. Apparently that was overwhelming you. Well, there we go. Summoned Incaria.
That's overwhelmingly average of you, sir. I also love the creativity part in Stardew Valley, designing my farm interior and exterior. We don't really have creativity. Oh, we do. Yeah, we do.
We literally have creativity as a category.
Played a lot of Crashlands. So, Incaria, welcome. Why do you play games? Sim games. Only made houses. Never liked the Sims, jobs, or their lives.
So I would say that that's an expression of creativity. You like designing the houses.
Indeed. So creativity sounds like one of your key drives. Creativity. I play games to get my mind off daily life. Creativity and escapism. Relaxation / escapism.
So I bet you would enjoy Kerbal Space Program or Minecraft as well.
Creativity, feel extreme control, escapism too. I'm gonna add one that I've thought of. I'm gonna add it right below creativity, organization. I love organizing things. I do. I really do. That's one of my favorite things. That's why I play Factorio. Pookie,
Yeah,
I've tried to get you to play Factorio. You didn't want to play it. If you like,
she knew from watching you that it would consume her life.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I introduced Patch to it. I got Patch into Factorio. I told him about it on a Friday and told him that he had to go check it out. They've got a new patch. Everything's more colorful now. They added a lot more color to it. Just so you know. Anyway, he went and checked it out. And I see him on Monday, and he walks up to me and goes, "You asshole."
Because it just ate his weekend. It's just gone.
He got in trouble with his wife because he started playing Factorio and lost all track of time. Experimental. See how far a game can be pushed. I always like to find bugs and glitches. So feel I'm helping and becoming part of the development. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Just exploration. Rather than just.
Would you say then that makes you feel like you're part of a community? You feel like you're part of this community that is making this game better? Could that be a social aspect, or is it specifically about being able to figure out what your bounding box is?
It could be
it's a social experience.
There's some social, but if you like looking for the edges of those boxes as well, it sounds like there's a bit of a mental stimulation there, or a mental challenge as well, trying to find the ways. Digital footprint of achievement.
Yeah, the sense of achievement and power. Like I would say that people who enjoy getting, achievements, etc., they feel powerful because they've managed to do all of these things that were set out as a difficult task.
Especially like that's why when you look at achievements in the PS4 achievement lists of people and on Steam and stuff like that, there's a percentage of how many people that have bought the game have gotten that achievement. And if it's under 10%, they glow and sparkle.
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I have a bunch of sparkly ones, and it makes me feel powerful. Like, haha, I'm better than 90% of people out there. Yes. Trophies and achievements is not for me, which is very odd, right? No, it's not odd at all, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Everybody plays. I'd say a majority of the people I know in Encaria do not do achievement hunting. Most of them won't go out of their way at all to get them. So you're pretty much in the norm from the people I know. Also just completionism. Collecting and completing sets. Yes, I'm with you.
So where would we put that? I think that is under its own...
Definitely.
Its own sort of category.
I was already writing it when you were asking that. It is absolutely its own thing. And MMOs are a big thing for that, but then Stardew Valley was a great one for it with all the different houses and tasks. Go ahead.
Pokemon.
100%.
You gotta collect them all.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. Yeah, CCGs. Something close to my heart. Grew up with NES. Trying to beat a game was the ultimate achievement, and only I knew. Yeah, the MMOs are real good for Power Trip as well, again, because we're talking about online, public. Like, in Rift, we were server first for an achievement, which was a difficult achievement. It was this crazy raid boss that is just spitting damage everywhere. and you have to move in this really tight formation in a circle around the edges of the ring in a tight timing, like move, stop, 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 with 25 people as 3 different abilities are happening constantly all around you to have to like move in and avoid, and then 3 people have to run way out and create gaps so they don't hit anybody and come back in. The achievement is for nobody taking any damage from any of the mechanics.
That sounds really tough.
So we were, I mean, there was 3 raids out. This is the first raid. We were server first when we got it. I think we were like 3rd world, something like that at the time. 3 or 4 world. So when we got it, every person online in the entire server gets notified of that one. So every person playing in the middle of their screen had and our guild name and everything pop up in the middle of the screen to tell them that we had just done this. That's a power trip. That's a power trip.
Oh, so that brings up another sort of like tangentially related category. Maybe not exactly the power trip, power fantasy sort of thing, but self-actualization as opposed to self-exploration. You feel like you have had an impact. You feel like you have had you're leaving a legacy, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. Games like Diablo 2 and 3 could fall into that.
Diablo 2/3.
2/3. Yep. I saw that and I was like, I'm good with this. But because I don't know how many people have played those ones, but there are leaderboards for ladder. And I don't know if you've ever had a spot on a hardcore ladder leaderboard, but that's self-actualization there. You're like, that's me. Everyone can see my name. Try to beat it. Try to beat it.
I did it.
Yep. I mean, the Diablo 2 ones don't matter anymore because it's just a bunch of level 99 bots. But I ran one of those bots, so that's still me. That's my name. And then MMOs we said, but really shooters as well, and anything with an online leaderboard.
And Pookie brings up another category.
Arcade was a big one of that. Sorry to interrupt, but arcade falls heavily into that one, where back in the days of the arcade, you have the high score on the arcade machine, and everybody that finishes a game sees your name at the top when they're done.
Yep.
I would make a list of things that goes through my mind for gaming is 1, get something else to think on. I'm done with today's assignment. 2, how can I make this game last longer than 20 minutes in the entertainment prospect? So what our question is then, what is the entertainment prospect? Is the key there. A, it needs to make me feel creative in some way. B, that you help with the development, or to break the game, bend it so I would enjoy it, craft something in a relaxed nature. B, can I beat the game? Is it easy enough? I have limited time. Yeah, so relaxation. And do you think self-actualization, even the modern easy game trend, falls into? Could that be a bit of self-actualization, allowing people to plow through the game and destroy it and feel like, I'm so good at this?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It makes them feel, to use a much maligned quote, pride and accomplishment.
Sorry, I know you were trying to say Pookie's quote there for a while. I'll let you go with it.
Oh yeah, I was just bringing up that Pookie brought up specifically role playing as a way to, be somebody else. Is that something that we can?
I think that is its own category still.
Or is it part of escapism?
Yeah, actually, I think it would be.
You're not in your world anymore.
I think it would be. New world, new person, allow you to be somebody different. That's the same reason that D&D would be under escapism. Pookie, you should try some D&D with us sometime.
I think she'd really enjoy it.
I think so too. It takes her some time to get into a new. She has to adopt them slowly.
Totally fair.
Yeah. It's not that complicated. It's less complicated than any other game because you don't need to remember any menus or options or how to do anything. You just say, I want to do this. And we say, okay, roll this.
There's lots of like pre-made one-shots that we can always just run through. You know, characters already made, everything's already made. You just get to basically take the role of a character and do whatever you want, and you have basically, we can make it easier with, you can have cards printed out with the abilities you can do, and you just take your card and be like, I want to do this, and then you do it, and you just kind of go through to get the hang of it. It's a pretty good.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the character creation. You tell me what you want your character to be like, and I'll make it so you can do the stuff you wanted to do. I can do that for you. Turns out I've made a couple characters in my life.
The systems of the game itself are getting much less complicated now. In 3.5 or Pathfinder, absolutely, there's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of dice rolling, you got to know the rules inside and out. In 5th edition, it's very much more relaxed.
5th edition is, I want to do this, roll a d20.
And you probably get to do it.
I play mostly old games because childhood... Oh, that's a great one. Nostalgia.
Yeah, for sure.
Why, how do we not have that on there? Self-explanatory. There we go. No, that's fantastic, Incaria. Thank you for all that input. That's and yeah, nostalgia. How can we forget that? I mean, we all of us have games from our childhood that we know and love, even though it's not that great a game. Really not. Okay. Oh, I dropped some frames. Pick those frames up. Okay, we're good. Yeah, Dr. Mario. Yeah, Dr. Mario. Pookie and I played a ton of Dr. Mario against each other.
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Well, that's basically just Puyo Puyo, right?
I don't know. I never played Puyo Puyo.
It's the like North American skin of Puyo Puyo, basically. Is what it was.
Fantastic is what it is.
It is fantastic. It is fantastic. Dr. Mario is a fantastic game as well, though, and more original. Yeah, Puyo Puyo is the original one. Yeah, but Mean Bean Machine is literally Puyo Puyo note for note. I have Robotnik because it would appeal to us. Yep, exactly.
It worked.
It did.
It worked. 100%.
I have at least 100 hours of Dr. Mario on GBA. Dr. Mario was a fantastic game. For those that don't know Dr. Mario, Incaria, do you know Dr. Mario? If you like Puyo Puyo, you should try Dr. Mario. If you don't know that one. I'm not sure how far spread that game was. It was a cool one. Do you know it, Rage?
I never actually played it. It was always one of the ones that I'm like walking past the game rental in the video store and going, I should play that game.
Yoshi's
and then I
Cookie?
just go rent like Turtles in Time or something instead.
Yeah, Turtles in Time is a good one. I don't know that. So what Dr. Mario was is you have a bunch of viruses on the screen, right, that you have to kill, and there'll be different colors, and you have to make a line of 4 of the same color. So if you had 3 red viruses together, you'd only have to put 1 red block on them, and they would all destroy. But if you had 1, you'd have to get 3 red blocks on it. And then the blocks are solid because they're pills. So if you put it out, it'll hang instead of the one piece continuing to drop down like it would in Mean Bean until you actually break that column, and then the pill breaks, it drops down.
Gotcha.
Those are the little... That's about it, though. And then the goal is to destroy all your viruses first. It's actually a little... It becomes about playing fast. It's a little different that way. Instead of playing clean and proper and setting up combos, it's about playing fast and getting your combos off before the other person. Constantly hitting down. And the person who hits down quicker to get their block down is at the advantage. It's a really fun multiplayer game that way.
Nice.
Came to stage 4
and Caria and Nariel from behind me have both brought up Tetris as well, and I would say that is both a mental and mechanical challenge.
Yep. Or even just relaxing if you put it on easy, sit there and make bars.
And now with Tetris 99, also competitive.
Tetris 99 is seriously dope. That is a good game.
It is amazing. It came out of nowhere for me, and then it was included with Nintendo Online, so everyone's playing it. It is so intense. The last 10 is just like
Right on, right on. I've watched a Tetris World Grandmaster run, full completion, and that's just the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, he's at the final stage, and you're like, how is he even able to keep up to all this speed and location? And then it finishes, and he goes, okay, now here's how you get the Grandmaster rank. I'm like, what? There's more. So what happens at that point is he has to memorize the current state of the blocks, and then they go invisible. And they continue at the speed they're coming at, but all he can do is see the block for like a split second, and then it disappears, and he controls it invisible, and he has to get 10 lines. And he did it with invisible blocks on a memorized board.
Yep. It's like watching the Tetris speedruns at GDQ. Those are always incredible.
Also a no-brainer for me, if it's new games but been out for a little while, that they are complete straight out of the box, no DLC or paywall BS. That adds mechanics or modes that should be in vanilla. Yeah. I'd say that's more about choosing a game rather than why you play it, though. I'm with Rage. That would just be why you would choose to try it. Or not. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like the DLCs. If I see a game with DLC day one where I'm like, why isn't that just part of the game?
Yeah.
Like,
especially
it was done
back when discs were a thing, and you would get on disc DLC that you needed to pay additional money to unlock. The code's there, the content's there, it's on the disc, but you gotta pay more.
Yeah, that's shiesty. Shiesty to no end right there. Early access, no thanks. Not anymore, sadly. Burnt too many times. Same goes with Kickstarter. So I've preached early access a few different times, and I want to preach it again. It's not a terrible thing. Just understand that you're not buying the game. You're giving the company some money of the price of the game, and they promise to give you the game if they're done. They let you play it while they work on it. There's no guarantee it'll ever get done. Go into it accepting that you may never get that game. The early accesses that I pay into, I'm looking at the game going, I really want to see this get made. And I buy a copy to give them the $10 or $20 that it is in order to help them get it made. That's my take on it. Normally I don't.
And my whole thing with the early access is it ends up ruining games for me. So I'll play a bunch of it in early access where the game isn't complete.
Yep.
It doesn't have the whole game in it. And then I'll just be like, I'm done with this. And then I'll never get to experience what they actually intended that game to be.
Yep. That's a thing. The games that I play early access are usually sandbox stuff. So I get to play with the few pieces they've added and see how the systems work, and then I just put it down for a year or so and pick it back up a year later, and they've added 2 or 3 new systems to the game, and I play with it a bit, see how it all works together, and then I put it away for a bit. Pseudo, add something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, early access. At least a big problem with it, with the industry at least, was just the AAA studios that now use it for free QA instead of having to pay people for QA. You can now, have people pay you to QA, and it's kind of a weird business practice. Whereas before, it was how indie titles could get the QA they needed to polish their game, being on such a small budget, because that's a really important part. And it kind of works in both people's favors. And now it kind of just blew up into this thing of like, you know what, we're just gonna, call our game early access for a bit when it's near the end, get a bunch of money, get them to beta test it, so we don't have to, actually pay people or have beta testers in house, when they definitely couldn't afford it, and they definitely should do it in house. Because of course we've seen how it blows up for some of these AAA games, where it's like, why is it like this? Why are you doing it this way? Where it still makes sense for indie games, where that's their only way to get testing is go early access because they can't afford it, and now it's kind of just ruining it for them as well. because now people have these unreasonable expectations because they'll buy AAA games in early access and then play indie games in AAA access. And like, why is the indie game so shit when I can play this other game that's early access? That's fine. A lot of people don't put two and two together, and it's
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. A lot of people don't understand the difference between a AAA developer and an indie developer, and it sets a false expectation with the AAA devs releasing their early access, which are already pretty highly polished and just looking for those end bugs. That's why one of the things I was saying when I was talking about early access is I'm putting money into the development of the game to help it get finished. I'm not funding a AAA's game. Okay, the AAA is making more than enough fucking money off of that game. They don't need my money to help them finish the game. That's not the question. I am expressly buying early access indie games where I'm like, that is creative and different and or artistic and something I really, really, really want to see done. And I'm using my dollars as opinion dollars to say, this game is worth this money. Here is the money for it. You have the market information to say that this is actually a game that people will pay for. Please keep making. Twisted Metal 2? Huh? What? As soon as Twisted Metal 2 and 3 came out on PlayStation, I got them. Didn't check the backside of the box. I just bought it. I played it because of the brand. Yeah. Twisted Metal 2 is one of my all-time favorite games. All time. Love that game. If you remember it very well, my buddy and I got to the point...
Your dad.
Yep. My buddy and I got to the point where we could play a single match against each other in Holland. It's a big, flat, empty field where you have nowhere to hide. And it would take 45 minutes to get one kill because we could dodge homing missiles in an open field. We were very good at that game.
Right? The 10,000 hours for mastery.
Yeah. It also helps having somebody who's as good as you. Second is the strong one. Yeah, I'm with you. I loved Twisted Metal 2. Twisted Metal 3 went to a different company, is why Twisted Metal 3 sucked. Twisted Metal 3 became 989 Studios, is who made that one. They bought it I don't know if they closed their studio down when they sold Twisted Metal, but they ended up doing a different title later called Rogue Trip. It was made by the Twisted Metal 2 team, and that game was fantastic, but people didn't realize it was the same team because it wasn't the same name, so not as many people played it. Such is the case. Sad. This is quite a comprehensive list now.
Yeah, it's we're starting to run out of things to add to it.
I think so. Also had Vigilante 8. Vigilante 8 was another good one. Not as good as Rogue Trip. Glad you had Rogue Trip. Rogue Trip was awesome. Rogue Trip was like a little bit more cartoony graphics than Twisted Metal 2 Rage, but because it was on the I think it was PSX, but that slightly done down graphics allowed them to have a much more polished look to it. And they had like a, arcadey, cartoony sound kind of feel going on in the car combat with the zany abilities and ridiculous specials. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's something that is often missed these days, is just having things be fun. People go so in on realism and trying to make it an experience.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good, but the whole point is to be fun, entertaining.
I wouldn't say that's why people play the game. That's why people try the game. Is the brand. You pick it up and you'll play it. You're not going to finish the game just because it was made by that company, though, right? If you play it and you get halfway through it and you're like, oh, this is terrible, you're not going to keep playing it just because FromSoft made it in my case. I'm going to buy it right away and play it right away because the history behind the studio tells me I'm probably really going to like this game. I've liked everything else they've made. But if it sucks, I'm not going to keep playing it. Bugs Bunny Finders. Occupational R&D testers and devs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be a game that you don't particularly like, but your team is working on it, so it could be totally occupational.
Absolutely. You might have to play games. A lot of people think that sounds like a dream job. Actually, you know what? Streamers too. Streamers play games they don't want to play all the time. Mr. Tube,
Yeah,
I'm looking at
those
you.
real money auction house. Yeah, that was a thing. Thank goodness that's gone.
You see, if you're playing it to make money, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to bought it to make money. That's how I did it. Then you're making money even while you're out to dinner. I loved that. I loved going out to dinner, coming back and being like, oh, somebody bought that helm I found for $60. That paid for dinner and change. Easy money, like Pokemon Go trainers. Yeah, I got out of the Pokemon Go thing pretty quickly. I played it for like 20 minutes and quickly realized what it was and was like, oh.
Oh, it's super shallow. But I actually still play it quite a bit. You know, I'm out walking my puppy every day and might as well be playing some video games while I'm doing it.
Fair enough, fair enough. You are out walking already. Seen the wild pictures that appeared with people on cycles going around with 16 phones online.
Yep, that was totally a thing.
My favorite was using a drone to change the GPS location of the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they didn't have to actually leave their house.
There's also the gold farmers, and all that stuff.
Yeah, gold
Yep.
farmers.
That's true.
They actually recruited an entire prison in China to farm gold, and wow. That was their job in the
doesn't
prison.
surprise me.
They went to prison and they had to play WoW all day and farm gold.
Honestly, I think that was probably pretty effective.
Honest,
that would
like,
rehabilitate me.
Even as somebody that greatly enjoyed WoW, that does not sound like fun at all. Farming gold is not the most interesting thing you MMO, unless you're like really, really good at the auction house and they actually let you play your game and do it and make lots of gold. But to just be like, here, sit there and kill these things every time they spawn for 8 hours.
Yeah, not fun.
I think that's it.
Can anybody else think of anything to add to this list?
It's definitely getting much longer. Like before I was looking at it like there's more than this. But now I'm like, oh, fair. I mean, I'm sure there's more still, but at least we're getting to a fair size list. There's always more reasons though. Always more play.
I know Incaria has been talking a lot about how to pick games.
Yes. Which is interesting. We can talk a little bit about community. That. Yeah. Yeah.
Unwind, we have that in under relaxation.
Yeah. It's getting so big it's hard to see them all now. Artistry, exercise, nostalgia, adrenaline, mechanical and mental challenge.
Upwinding. Yeah, upwinding we actually do have as well. We have that covered under the adrenaline rush.
Which is actually one of the reasons we play, Rage and I. I'm not sure about Pseudo.
Certain games, mostly just shooters for me for adrenaline though. I was playing some Insurgency Sandstorm because it's free this weekend, and I was doing some co-op, and I was the last person left on an objective that we're supposed to defend with like 10 seconds left, and my heart was racing. It was getting pretty intense.
Right on. Yeah. We put Doom under the adrenaline, and we did specifically mention Doom Eternal when we did it. Yeah, we did. Yeah, watch last week's panel. I think you missed that one, but we talked about Doom Eternal for 2 hours straight. Yep. And it was basic. We said a bunch of bad, but some good. Lots of good, but we actually said a bunch of bad, which was surprising to a lot of people.
It's not perfect. It's
Nope.
a wonderful, wonderful game, and I love it so much. But it's not perfect.
No, no, not perfect, but fantastic game. I absolutely loved it. Like, Rage and I will be praising the Slayer gates for eons. Do all the
All video games, all of them should just be Doom Eternal's Slayer gates. That's all they need.
Aren't we glad that it's more than just Rage making games?
I would like to see an Animal Crossing Slayer gate. What the hell would
Oh,
go
dude,
on it?
that'd be dope.
Just all of a sudden, just a bunch of dead. Gotta quickly kill all the dead.
Uh, um, yeah, Slayer gates. Do all 6 Slayer gates on Ultra Nightmare. I'm not a great shooter player. Everybody has watched me play shooters by this point. I'm not good. I'm not good, and I still managed to do all 6 Slayer gates on Ultra Nightmare. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Correction, not Ultra Nightmare. Ultra Nightmare is a different thing. Ultra Nightmare is the you only get one life category. We did it on Ultra Violence,
Ultra
which
Violence.
is a different difficulty.
Why am I thinking Nightmare?
Because Nightmare is the difficulty above Ultra Violence.
Okay. Ultra Nightmare. Ultra Nightmare?
Ultra
doesn't
Violence.
Ultra Violence. Right. Okay, I was about to say Ultra Nightmare doesn't sound right. My brain does. Does that. Ultra Nightmare. Right?
Ultra Violence.
Violence.
Words are hard.
They are. They are. Give me numbers. Give me like a binary string. I got that shit.
Difficulty 3. You want to play the game on difficulty 3 if you want to be challenged.
One below the one that you can only die once. So you can die as many times as you want, but it's going to murder you. Do all 6 Slayer gates on that difficulty? Amazing. Amazing.
Seriously, seriously good.
That is some artistry. The control in that game is just so sharp. Pinpoint accurate. Yes. Yes. Never once did I die in that game and think, why did I die? Every time it was, I should have been moved.
I was in the wrong spot, or I was using the wrong gun, or, I needed to, instead of overkilling that one demon 3 demons ago, I really should have glory killed him instead. It's always that you put yourself in a bad position. It's not the game's fault.
Sims, WoW, become the hero. Yep, that's power fantasy, becoming the hero.
And I guess escapism for role playing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think
feeling good and strong.
We've got all of the things that we can think of.
You know what? Is power fantasy really being the hero? I don't think it is.
It's definitely a form of escapism.
It is a form of escapism. Yeah. Because that is one of the big things I like in RPGs. I'm always the good guy. I'm the white knight. Always saving the ladies.
No, and there you go. There's a perfect description of escapism from Incaria. Do you want to be the chef tonight? Or maybe a mafia boss? Or maybe Doom Guy? You get to pick. You get to be whoever you want to be.
Yep.
The mafia boss Doom guy who's cooking dinner.
Absolutely. If that's who you want to be, that's who you can be.
Needs more demons.
Demon casserole.
Mafia chef of doom. I'm good with this. I think I'm good with this. It's petered
I'm
out.
happy with the list.
I'm good with the list. So one day, I think that link is only good for a day. So one day you'll be able to access this on our wiki. Now I'm just gonna keep saying one day until we actually do it.
I have one hosted now. I think I sent you the invitation link.
Did you?
It's true. We're running out of excuses to not do it.
I don't think I got the email. Which email did you send it to?
I put it in our Discord chat.
Oh,
Yeah, it's in our group chat. It's
Okay.
literally just a link to sign up.
I will go do that after this and start getting information in there. That sounds like something I can do when work is slow, since work is often slow right now.
Nice.
Yeah, we still have some issues happening because people are still using us to communicate with the whole corona thing going on to all their employees, but much slower, much quieter. Make a backup save on all. Oh, the file? The file's on Google Drive.
It's in the cloud.
When you do that and the light hits your eyes like that, it
Okay.
focuses the eyes and turns them into big black circles, and you look like bubbles.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Do it again.
Very
It's like-
aggressive green
There you go.
screen.
There you go. See, bubbles. There's the bubbles.
It's like half anime character, half bubble.
Yeah, it's like anime character bubbles.
It is just very aggressive green screening.
No, it's anime character bubbles.
Sure. Okay. I will be anime now.
Anime bubbles. You gotta have the bubbles in there. Okay, so I don't actually think we know. Why do people play games? Lack of drugs. No. No, lack of drugs actually makes me stop playing games. I'm sorry, but marijuana in video games just like they'll never be apart. I'm sitting there playing video games, and one of my first thoughts is, I wish I had a doobie. And I'm sitting there smoking a doobie, and my first thought is, I wish I had a video game. And that's just how inextricably linked they are. That's how my brain works. Because they want to. Indeed. Indeed. You want to play some games? We never played Halo last night. You want to finish Halo? Or you got stuff to do?
Maybe in a couple hours.
Sounds good. Sounds good. No drugs allowed in Sweden. Have stickers we can give out to our customers. Everything is illegal. Everything.
I guess stickers are illegal.
That's one of the... What happens if they stick that sticker on a cop car? That's why we laugh at poop jokes.
Because we're all children inside.
We do laugh at poop jokes and fart jokes. So it sounds like you can't download a car, right? 3D printer, go away. You can download a car and print it. That is actually true. People have done cars on 3D printers. The body, anyway.
Not a particularly good car, but you can do it.
Well, no, that's not true, sir. The Koenigsegg is 3D printed.
Not all of it.
The body is.
Yeah, but not all of it.
But you said not a very good car. The turbos are 3D printed in it.
Yes.
Most of the
that's
chunks
true.
of the engine are. The body is. It's put together by man, but most of it is 3D printed. It's basically a 3D printed car. Stupid laws. Thanks for the list. You're very welcome, Inkaria. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for taking part in the conversation. We always love having your opinions here. You make it far more interesting every time you join. Don't know what to do with it, but fun to participate. Do not need a game to aid people when I got you.
Bah.
Thank you so much. We absolutely love having you here too. So until a little bit of Halo later on, thank you very, very much for joining the Games by Design panel today. Shout out to everybody. Rage, Rift, or I meant to say Rift, I said Rage. It's the end. I'm pseudo now. Thanks.
You're pulling a me.
Really enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Riftkick. This was a little more philosophical one. Do we have any ideas on what we're going to do next week before we sign off on this?
I had an idea, but as soon as you asked me about it, it popped out of my head.
Okay, well, I will be posting the idea when we come up with it in Discord, and I will be setting it to our status down below as soon as I know what it is. So, have a wonderful Saturday. We will see you a little later for Halo. Until then, I'm Deus.
I am Rage.
And I'm Pseudo.
May all your shots be headshots.